4 years, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air felt untouchable. It was bright, funny, 0:055 seconds and comforting. A show that seemed immune to darkness. But behind the laughter, behind Will Smith's smile, and 0:1313 seconds behind the family chemistry America fell in love with, there were moments of humiliation, silence, betrayal, and pain 0:2020 seconds that never made it to air. Some of those involved money, others involved power, 0:2626 seconds, and a few nearly destroyed careers forever. Tonight, we're not looking at the jokes. We're looking at what the cast carried when the cameras stopped rolling. The debt that built the show. 0:3838 seconds. When The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air began production, Will Smith was not chasing stardom. He was running from collapse. 0:4545 seconds. By the late 1980s, Will Smith's music career with DJ Jazzy Jeff had exploded faster than anyone expected. Their 0:5454 seconds album, He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper, went triple platinum, winning awards and turning a teenage rapper into a 1:021 minute, 2 seconds millionaire almost overnight. Will believe the success would last forever. 1:081 minute, 8 seconds. He spent freely luxury cars, designer clothes, private shopping sprees, and made one catastrophic mistake that would 1:161 minute, 16 seconds follow him for years. He did not pay his taxes. By the time the music slowed down, the damage was already done. 1:231 minute, 23 seconds. Follow-up albums underperformed, income dried up, and the IRS came knocking. 1:291 minute, 29 seconds. Will Smith later confirmed he owed roughly $2.8 million in back taxes, a staggering sum for someone whose career. 1:361 minute, 36 seconds had not yet transitioned into acting. At that point, fame was no longer a dream. 1:431 minute, 43 seconds. It was a lifeline. The turning point came during a trip to the Arsenio Hall show where Will crossed paths with Benny. 1:511 minute, 51 seconds. Medina, a music executive with a story that mirrored the show audiences would later recognize. 1:581 minute, 58 seconds. Medina had grown up in West Los Angeles before being sent to live with wealthy relatives in Beverly Hills. He pitched 2:052 minutes, 5 seconds. Will an idea for a television series inspired by his own life. Will wasn't interested. He had never acted. Didn't T2:132 minutes, 13 seconds see himself as a sitcom lead and didn't think television was the answer. 2:182 minutes, 18 seconds. Everything changed at a party hosted by Quincy Jones. What began as a casual introduction turned into an impromptu 2:262 minutes, 26 seconds audition in a living room with industry executives watching. Will was given 10 minutes to study a script and perform. 2:342 minutes, 34 seconds. That night, contracts were drafted in a limousine outside. Within 3 months, the pilot was filming. What viewers didn't T2:422 minutes, 42 seconds know was that for the first 3 seasons, the IRS seized approximately 70% of Will Smith's paycheck. Every 2:512 minutes, 51 seconds joke, every episode, every laugh track was built on financial survival. The show that launched one of Hollywood's 2:592 minutes, 59 seconds biggest stars was also the job that kept him from financial ruin. While audiences watched a fictional Will move into a 3:063 minutes, 6 seconds mansion, the real Will Smith was quietly paying off the past. One episode at a time. 3:143 minutes, 14 seconds. A writer's room built on fear and silence. While The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air looked effortless on screen, the 3:213 minutes, 21 seconds place where those jokes were born was anything but stable. Behind the scenes, 3:263 minutes, 26 seconds. The show's writer room developed a reputation that most sitcoms never recover from. Chaotic, hostile, and quietly abusive. 3:363 minutes, 36 seconds. This wasn't rumor passed between fans years later. It came directly from people who worked inside that room. 3:433 minutes, 43 seconds. Off the clearest accounts emerged from a profile published in the late 2000s when a former staff writer described the 3:503 minutes, 50 seconds environment as exhausting and volatile, defined by constant arguments, endless hours, and power dynamics that had little to do with creativity. 4:014 minutes, 1 second. What made the situation more complicated was who held influence. Will Smith was not just the star. He was protected. 4:094 minutes. 9 seconds. Members of his inner circle, including a bodyguard and a cousin, were part of the writing staff. Their presence blurred 4:164 minutes. 16 seconds professional boundaries and created a climate where criticism didn't travel upward. Writers knew which voices mattered and which ones didn't. 4:264 minutes. 26 seconds. Challenging ideas wasn't just risky. It could cost you your place in the room. As pressure mounted to maintain ratings, for 344 minutes, 34 seconds, the atmosphere deteriorated. 4:374 minutes. 37 seconds. Writers were pushed to work extreme hours, often rewriting material under stress while personal conflicts played out openly. Instead of collaboration, 4:474 minutes, 47 seconds. Survival became the priority. The humor audiences loved was being forged in an environment where trust was thin and 4:554 minutes, 55 seconds. Respect uneven. The situation crossed into something darker through so-called pranks. These weren't harmless jokes. 5:045 minutes. For seconds. One incident involved a colleague discovering that someone had urinated in a bottle of tequila intended for shared. 5:115 minutes, 11 seconds. Use. It was humiliating, cruel, and symbolic of how little accountability existed behind closed doors. No one. 5:205 minutes, 20 seconds. Publicly took responsibility. No one was meaningfully punished. The message was clear. Endure it or leave. The room was 5:295 minutes, 29 seconds, also deeply isolating for those who didn't fit the dominant profile. One female writer, also the only white woman. 5:375 minutes, 37 seconds in the room, later revealed she was given a nickname that mocked both her race and religion. It wasn't subtle. It 5:455 minutes, 45 seconds wasn't accidental. It was tolerated. In an industry already hostile to women and outsiders, the silence around that 5:545 minutes, 54 seconds behavior spoke louder than any punchline. 5:575 minutes, 57 seconds. What's most unsettling is that this environment didn't slow the show down. Episodes continued, ratings climbed, 6:056 minutes, 5 seconds. Awards followed. From the outside, 6:076 minutes, 7 seconds. Success erased the damage. From the inside, resentment accumulated quietly. 6:146 minutes, 14 seconds. When power rewrites the narrative, Janet Hubert did not quietly fade out of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She was pushed 6:226 minutes, 22 seconds out of the story and then blamed for disappearing. From the first season, 6:286 minutes, 28 seconds. Hubert's Aunt Viv was not a background character. She was sharp, ambitious, 6:336 minutes, 33 seconds. Politically aware, and emotionally dominant in the Banks household. She challenged Uncle Phil, pushed her 6:406 minutes, 40 seconds. Children forward, and often grounded Will when humor gave way to reality. On screen, she was one of the show's 6:486 minutes, 48 seconds. Strongest forces. Off screen, that strength made her dangerous. 6:546 minutes, 54 seconds. As the series gained popularity, the balance of power shifted. Will Smith was no longer just the lead actor. He was 7:027 minutes, 2 seconds. The brand. Still young, still inexperienced, but suddenly untouchable. 7:087 minutes, 8 seconds. According to Hubert, this was when tension began. She has consistently stated that disagreements on set were 7:157 minutes, 15 seconds. Professional, not personal, and that she never disrupted production or abandoned her responsibilities. 7:227 minutes, 22 seconds. A different story. Quietly took hold. By the end of the third season, negotiations for her return stalled. 7:307 minutes, 30 seconds. Hubert was offered a contract she could not accept. Terms that restricted her growth, limited her compensation, and reduced her autonomy. When she refused, 7:417 minutes, 41 seconds. The decision was made to replace her. Publicly, no explanation was given. 7:467 minutes, 46 seconds. Privately, whispers began circulating that she was difficult. That word followed her for decades. Other cast. 7:537 minutes, 53 seconds. Members later described the set as feeling like a family, with one exception. Statements suggested Hubert clashed with colleagues and caused 8:028 minutes, 2 seconds tension. Those claims hardened into accepted truth. Casting directors heard them. Producers believed them. In Hollywood, being labeled difficult, 8:138 minutes, 13 seconds, especially as a black woman, was not criticism. It was a career death sentence. What audiences noticed 8:208 minutes, 20 seconds immediately was the change. When Daphne Maxwell Reid stepped into the role, Aunt Viv became quieter, softer, and less. 8:288 minutes, 28 seconds central to the story. Her political ambition vanished. Her authority faded. 8:348 minutes, 34 seconds. She no longer pushed Phil forward. She stood behind him. The character lost her edge, and with it, a piece of the show. 8:428 minutes, 42 seconds emotional weight. For Hubert, the damage was irreversible. 8:478 minutes, 47 seconds. She later revealed she was enduring an abusive marriage at the time, struggling privately while watching her professional reputation collapse. 8:558 minutes, 55 seconds publicly. When her father and brother died, she reached out to the show's leadership, asking for one thing, for 9:039 minutes, 3 seconds, the truth to be told. She wanted her name cleared. No one answered. Years passed. Interviews hardened positions. 9:119 minutes, 11 seconds. Silence grew heavier. Then, decades later, everything cracked open. During a reunion special marking the show's 9:199 minutes, 19 seconds legacy, Hubert finally sat face to face with Will Smith. She spoke openly about what the word difficult had cost her. 9:279 minutes, 27 seconds work, dignity, and stability. Will admitted he had been overwhelmed by fame, unable to handle conflict, and 9:359 minutes, 35 seconds complicit in letting the narrative stand. 9:389 minutes, 38 seconds, the scene that was never supposed to break everyone. 9:439 minutes, 43 seconds. There is one moment in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that audiences still struggle to watch without breaking down. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It didn't rely on jokes or spectacle. It was raw. 9:559 minutes, 55 seconds exposed, and devastating. And it was never meant to unfold the way it did. 10:0210 minutes, 2 seconds. The episode centered on Will's estranged father, a man who had been absent for most of his son's life, suddenly. 10:0810 minutes, 8 seconds, reappearing with promises of change. For much of the episode, the tension simmered quietly. Will wanted to believe. 10:1610 minutes, 16 seconds. Him. Uncle Phil didn't. When the father left again, breaking his word, the story reached a point no script could fully. 10:2410 minutes, 24 seconds, prepare for. What followed was not written as it aired. In the final moments, Will erupted. He questioned his 10:3110 minutes, 31 seconds worth. He asked why his father didn't want him. He unloaded years of abandonment in a single breath. Those 10:3810 minutes, 38 seconds lines were not in the script. They came from somewhere deeper, a place actors rarely let cameras reach. The studio. 10:4610 minutes, 46 seconds. Audience fell silent. Crew members stopped working. The moment shifted from performance to confession. 10:5410 minutes, 54 seconds. Contrary to what many viewers later assumed, Will Smith did not draw from a broken relationship with his own father. 11:0211 minutes, 2 seconds. By his own admission, his relationship with his real-life father was complicated but present. The emotion came not from memory but from 11:1011 minutes, 10 seconds. Imagination and vulnerability, and from the man standing in front of him. James Avery, who played Uncle Phil, saw what 11:1911 minutes, 19 seconds was happening in real time. During rehearsals, Will struggled. He wanted the scene to matter. He wanted it to be 11:2611 minutes, 26 seconds honest. Avery pulled him aside and gave advice that would define Will's growth as an actor. He told him to stop 11:3411 minutes, 34 seconds performing and start listening, to use him, to trust what was already inside point 11:40 minutes, 40 seconds. When the take finally rolled, Avery didn't interrupt. He didn't guide. He simply stayed present. When will 11:49 minutes, 49 seconds collapsed emotionally, Avery embraced him, not as a character, but as a protector. As the cameras rolled, he 11:57 minutes, 57 seconds whispered something to Will that would stay with him forever. That was acting. Point 12:0312 minutes, 3 seconds behind the scenes, Avery was more than a co-star. He was a stabilizing force on a set full of pressure, ego, and 12:11 minutes, 11 seconds instability. Younger cast members leaned on him. He mentored quietly. He corrected gently. He absorbed stress. So 12:19 minutes, 19 seconds. Others didn't have to. When Avery passed away years later, the loss was not symbolic. It was personal. Cast members described the set without him as 12:28 minutes, 28 seconds emptier, like losing a parent after already leaving home. Point 12:32 minutes, 32 seconds. Reunions honored his presence, but they could never recreate it. That scene remains powerful because it captured 12:40 minutes, 40 seconds. Something fragile. A young man confronting abandonment, guided by another who knew when to speak and when. 12:48 minutes, 48 seconds to hold silence. And yet, for all its emotional truth, it wasn't the only moment where reality slipped through the 12:55 minutes, 55 seconds cracks. Because the show's youngest star carried her own hidden discomfort, one that played out under lights she never. 13:0313 minutes, 3 seconds asked for. When childhood stops being private, 13:0813 minutes, 8 seconds for Tatiana Ali. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was never just a job. It was her childhood broadcast weekly to millions of people. And like many child actors, 13:1913 minutes, 19 seconds. The line between character and person was thin, sometimes dangerously so. Ali joined the show at a very young age, 13:2813 minutes, 28 seconds. Growing up in front of a live audience, 13:3013 minutes, 30 seconds. Studio cameras, and co-stars who were already adults navigating their own pressures. On screen, Ashley Banks was 13:3913 minutes, 39 seconds. Sweet, protected, and surrounded by family. Off-screen,